Okay, I've come to a point. I went up there, then it's really hold on to branches and rock time. He never would have done it. Nope. Up until now I thought maybe, but I was growing a little bit. I don't think so. And now, no, he did not do that. It's too rough. Oh well, heading back. He didn't do this. Kind of silly. Kind of silly to have even walked up past here. I mean, it isn't really hard to walk on, but he's carrying, I mean, I'm carrying a very light bag. He's carrying 20 pounds. You know, just that alone, if he saw that, he'd probably go, no, I didn't do that. That's just stupid. It's more simple than this. But I'm absolutely convinced I'm in the right area. You know, I'm just convinced I'm in the right area. So now it literally is, like he said, it's a matter of finding the blaze on the ground, knowing you're in the right area, then finding the blaze. I don't see anything along there. Going across, you know, the water sounds like the cold, but, you know, who knows? Some couple, like I said, probably in their 50s or so, they're just bombing up the path here. And it gets a lot worse than this, which is where I turned around. I said there's no way he was up here. I have this horrible, horrible thought about going down where I went yesterday again to get to Sand Canyon. Go down Sand Canyon again. I may actually do that. God darn, that's a lot of walking. This is already a lot of walking. It's 20 to 12 noon. I could easily do it. But it would be one trip in and one trip out. I don't know. I'm beginning to think the blaze truly is something you have to see on the ground. You have to be in the right area, which I think this is, but you have to see it on the ground. All right. So I'm a bit further on. There's the blaze. Looks a lot less impressive now when I'm on the ground. Iron mine draw, and Warm Springs Cliff, water high. I still think those are fantastic clues. They sit one on top of the other. The cliff is above the draw. The only thing I can think is there a way to walk down to that draw on the other side of the water? Because what's happening on every one of these trips is, now that I'm, you know, like someone said about Vermilion Creek, what is this, an Ironman contest? No, I'm not an Ironman. And I'm stupidly going on these walks that are just way, you know, they're just way too much for Fenn. And for him to, I mean, repeatedly has said, remember, it was not that arduous, I was 80, blah, blah, blah. And if I would ever keep that in my damn mind, I would stop at a certain point, save myself a lot of exertion, and stop and say, no, he didn't do this. And he did not walk down from my car, where I was parked yesterday. He did not walk down to Sandy Canyon, Sandy Creek, Sand Canyon, whatever it's called, down to the river. He just didn't. He just didn't. And I've got to remember that. It's too stupid not to. I love this. Fresh footprints. See, I kind of go this way because of that. But you can see other people. No, I'm a brave guy. I mean, come on, guys. They have a sign, by the way, I'll put on here. They have a sign when you come in, edges may break off. I mean, you can kind of tell when you have certain edges. But some things, you know, kind of silly to tempt. I've avoided that one spot both times, in and out. Now see, this to me even looks kind of... This to me even looks kind of like, because you go, well, could that be the blaze? This, now see, now we're getting into not that far a walk from the campground. And you see all these trees and you think, or you think, see these little shallow islands? Did he walk across there to there? If that's not very shallow, should I go over there and go in those trees? But then again, what has that got to do with the blaze, unless this is the blaze? But then what does it mean, look quickly down? Look quickly down the river to the end? Kind of a different way of thinking of down. Look quickly down the river. Wouldn't that be funny if it's in there all the time? Remember the one time he said it was wet? And then people got on him about he buried it underwater, and he said, no, he said it. Then he kind of got irritated. He started saying, well, even if it was underground, it'd be wet because of the moisture in the ground. But what if he was just saying when the river's up? At that point, when he was interviewed, he knew that this area was wet. Gosh, I'm tempted to see if I can get over there. Island in his book, right? Gardner Island, something like that, or yeah, some pirate on Gardner Island. Isn't that it? I don't know. I'm almost tempted to do that just because I kept envisioning myself walking in the water and going into the cold and into the wood. That would certainly be that. I may misquote that sometimes, but I've just gotten it down to that simple phrase, into the cold and into the wood, kind of like going to Grandma's house. Into the cold and into the wood, to Grandmother's house we go. All right, I'm going to check this out. This is worth at least doing something while I'm here. No. Yeah, it's nice to see those little islands out there, going up to the big island. But, again, kind of interesting though, isn't it, when you think of the kids going across the road? Not, I mean, kind of, but that water, no. And it just doesn't fit, no. The blaze, look quickly down. I mean, that right there looks kind of unique, but not really any different than everything else around here. All right, heading back. Anybody see a blaze? I am so convinced it's in here somewhere, and it's so... Now keep in mind, there's water down beyond those trees before you hit that wall. Because of him stressing imagination so much, I have a feeling that the blaze is something that he sees when he looks at it. And then it's up to our imagination to see the same thing. That's kind of how I feel about him constantly bringing up imagination. Because he realizes the blaze is going to take a little bit of, you know, well, going back into that old theme of mine, patterns in the points or patterns in the chaos. And he also has the thing about the stars, at least in his last book, right? I think the whole cover was stars, wasn't it? So what does that tell me? Well, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. The only thing I got out of it was look up. And remember the bird on the moon in the nest. So look up. Just, you know, see blazes. Oh well. Yeah, you waste your money when you do these trips and don't find anything. Not really wasting any time because it's just time, I guess. But you certainly get your exercise. There is nothing like hiking for exercise. I mean, your legs get a tremendous workout, but so does the rest of your body, just balancing and catching yourself and going around things like, you know, outcrops and stuff. Really is a fantastic way to get exercise, to hike. And you see a lot. I mean, when you realize you could be on a treadmill. Now I realize people are working, they're in the city and all that. I'm discounting all that. But I'm just saying, I've seen birds today, lizards, bugs. Not overly exciting stuff to see, but kind of distracts you, takes you out of your element a little while you're walking and getting exercise. All right, I'm heading back to the water. Or no, I guess I came up this way. Yeah, there's a path that me and other people are slowly making in the grass. Another one. Nice place to live, right? Maybe. A little isolated for me. Well, I don't know. Oh, who am I kidding? Of course that's too isolated for me. Yeah, I gotta go get stuff every once in a while. I'm not gonna have to go, wouldn't want to be having to go through that nonsense of, I mean, it's just like it was in the Old West. You'd be getting supplies for the next month or 6. I mean, when you live this far down that funky road you gotta go up and down, still gotta drive a while. Dinosaur's down the road, but Dinosaur has, I think it's called either Jug and Loaf or Loaf and Jug. It's kind of like 7-Eleven. It's an alright store. You can get a sub sandwich and stuff if you're coming down here. I didn't, but really, then it's Vernal. It's just 30 miles from when you get out of the park. Getting out of the park's a good 25 miles. So, yeah, kind of a neat place to live, I guess, if you really like your isolation and you love the animals. But I'll tell you, coming out here at night and just sitting outside must be a trip. And I'll bet you can really see some stars. You know, you see all these things, though. That over there, you might be able to see it, these little white kind of lines in the middle of that hollow. I swear to God, they almost look like big etchings. And I thought, wouldn't it be funny if you could go over there and see a very faint blaze? I don't know what caused those white lines, but they don't, you know, they seem to be natural. They don't say anything, but I thought that would be funny. You know, they wouldn't have to be just real precise, but if they even kind of vaguely said blaze. But again, going across this river to get to those right under it, that tree or whatever. And how old's that tree anyway? Y'all remember he was here 8-9 years ago? I mean, again, folks, I'm not going over there. I wouldn't even really, but seriously contemplating it. But that river, I wouldn't cross that river. Campground's down there. I'm plugging on. Beautiful day. Absolutely. But see, you see this stuff and you go, is there anything that looks to anybody like a blaze? It's kind of different. That hole up there. Wonderful places for birds to live. All of these canyons have birds living in them. You can see them up there barely against the canyon wall. There go a couple. Oh no, those are butterflies. Butterflies? Pretty big. I don't know what those are. Persevering.